Greatest joy has been really the ability to travel around and, I don't know, lift up people. I think no matter whether it's celebrating teachers who, you know I love, or whether it's going to some disaster and people are just holding on tight because there's been a tornado or a fire and they just, all hope is lost, and just trying to lift them up and give them hope. And I think that's my greatest joy.
That was First Lady Dr. Jill Biden speaking at our Know Your Value event in the East Room of the White House exactly 1 year ago, and not the first time I wore jeans at the White House. Dr. Biden has had an influential and historic tenure as First Lady, caring for veterans and their families, spearheading the Biden Cancer Moonshot, and launching the White House initiatives on women's health research. Dr. Biden was also the only First Lady to work a paid job outside of the White House, serving as an English professor at Northern Virginia Community College, a teacher. Joining us now from the White House, the First Lady's Communications Director, Elizabeth Alexander. She also serves as a deputy assistant to the president. Also with us, correspondent at Vanity Fair and host of the Fast Politics podcast, Molly Jong Fast, and the co-founder and CEO of All In Together, Lauren Leader. So, well, first of all, Elizabeth, I'd like to know how you're feeling at this moment as well, as we look at Dr. Jill Biden's legacy, how history will look at it.
Thanks for having me on, Mika. I mean, I think that the First Lady and I myself, as somebody that's been in public service, we're feeling an immense amount of gratitude this morning. Gratitude for the outpouring of support, gratitude for all the people that make the government work, all the people that the First Lady has met, all the inspiring stories that she's heard, as you heard her say, as she's traveled across the country. She had her last event at the White House yesterday, her last solo event, celebrating military families. And that's really how she wanted to close out this chapter at the White House, is celebrating military families through her Joining Forces initiative. Also, we're proud. We're proud of what this president has achieved, his tremendous accomplishments, and grateful for all the people that have made it work.
And there were a lot of people who've been mentioned in recent headlines pertaining to tension about how this end has come. What do you make of that, and how is the First Lady responding to that?
You know, we're not focused on that. I mean, all of this, quote, reported tension. I think all these body experts who are trying to analyze the First Lady and the Vice President and other things. I wish those body language experts had been in the Hold room prior to the Carter funeral that sparked all of that, when they chatted for 30 minutes and were hugging and catching up on the Biden's new great grandbaby. I just think that that's just a whole lot of nonsense. The president and the First Lady are focused on working for the American people. We're running out the tape. He's president until 11:59 on Monday morning. And you've seen he made some announcements today about commutations. He's got a full schedule today. They're going out to Andrews today to thank service members that have supported Andrews Air Force Base, to thank service members that have supported them. They're off to South Carolina on Sunday to go to church and return to the state that launched his presidency, that they both have a deep personal relationship to. So that's what they're focused on.
Lauren.
Yeah, so Elizabeth, thanks so much for coming. I'm always fascinated by the way in which the roles of First Ladies, it kind of takes time for the historical world in a way to really understand their full contributions. To me, the Women's Health Initiative is one of these sort of pieces that could have really vast and long-lasting impact on the country and on millions of people. Can you help us understand, given the change of administration, are you confident that those important initiatives will remain? Are they protected in some way so they can't be rolled back? What are you hopeful for in terms of the lasting impact of that incredibly important initiative?
Well, we are hopeful that it will remain a focus of the federal government. Women's health research has historically been underfunded, and that has resulted in huge research gaps and huge gaps in knowledge. Doctors don't have the answers to provide their patients because they don't have the research or the data. The First Lady and the President have made this a focus for the last year. And since the President and First Lady launched this initiative in November of 2023, 2023. They've galvanized $1 billion already in federal research dollars and have also changed the way NIH and other federal researchers approach health research involving women from the beginning. So there has already been tremendous change. The First Lady is very interested in this topic. She wants to continue working on women's health research and advocating for more research post January 20th. And I think she's very excited about that.
Elizabeth, hi, it's Molly Jong-Fast.
Hi,
I'm
Molly.
wondering, one of the sort of hallmarks of this administration has been passing incredible progressive legislation, chips and sciences, and being completely unable to transmit these wins to the American people. Do you have regrets about the administration's lack of being forward-facing, and if you think that that is sort of how we got here, or how do you think we got here? Because Biden really did pass a mountain of amazing legislation that's almost historic.
I mean, I think that so much credit goes to President Biden and his 50 years of public service and his legislative expertise and his legislative skill, that even in this hyper-partisan environment, he got historic legislation passed. And while some of those effects won't be felt by the American people in the immediacy, but they will be felt in years to come. I'm sure others will take credit for it, but I hope you, Molly, and Lauren and Mika and your other friends in the media will fact check them on that, because all of that credit is due to Joe Biden and the building blocks that he laid in his administration to put our economy on a strong path.
Communications Director for First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, Elizabeth Alexander. Thank you, my friend. I'll see you soon. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much.
Molly and Lauren, I want to ask you about something we talked about here and what you brought up. Pertaining to communicating the accomplishments of Joe Biden, because it's so easy to say, of course, after the fact, Monday morning quarterbacking. So I totally admit that there's a little of that going on here. But why during the campaign, why was there such a need to separate Kamala Harris from Joe Biden's legacy? I mean, if the campaign is asked a question, what's going to be different than Joe Biden? Why can't the answer be, what would you want different? He passed more bipartisan legislation than any other president in modern American history, and then you go down the list and you push back. But there was this sort of it almost felt like the campaign fell into the disinformation trap about the very presidency they should have been very proud of.
Well, sorry.
I just think, look, the problem was Donald Trump ran for president for 4 years.
Yeah.
And Biden was not forward-facing. Now, that was a choice. And then when Harris took over, she was also not that forward-facing. Now, I don't know that I think they could have been much more forward-facing. They both are really good at communicating. And also, the more you're out there, the more you're out there. What we saw with Trump was he was out there so much that it didn't necessarily matter if he made a mistake because there was so much content. And I think that is the secret.
It's such a catch-22 for her, right? I mean, she was absolutely eviscerated for responding to that question on The View about, you know, there was nothing she would do differently. I mean, the right eviscerated her for that. And there are a lot of right-wing or sort of right-of-center folks who believe that that was actually the moment she lost the election, because it was this sense of it needing to be a change election. And it's hard to understand why Biden couldn't, you know, garner the credit that he deserved. But so much of it, that right-wing media ecosystem, the smear machine that we talked about all year, was unbelievably effective. She was in an impossible position. You separate yourself from the president, you're sort of hanging someone out to dry who's been responsible for your success and the success of the administration. If you don't, you're eviscerated for not being your own person. It was an impossible Faustian bargain for
I just think more would have solved some of those problems. They did so, like, more out there, more of them out there, and just out there, like the videos they did together. You know, the campaign could have done, you know, the TikToks that she did. She was very good in their own media. And what we're seeing more and more with electeds is that they are doing their own media, and that's drowning out some of the noise for them.
Just looking at how we move forward as well. Molly